Hey, good night, everybody. It's the 1st of July, 2025, and it's the first episode of Who's on the Go Mike 1-on-1, where it's just me in the studio, really. Traveled, and Nedwell is doing his thing for the summer carnival season. So I just thought there was a couple of things that I needed to let you be aware of before you get into your carnival spirit and drink up and have all the fun you want for the summer festival. That is the Antigua Carnival, the largest summer festival they still claim in the West Indies. But there's some breaking news tonight. I thought I'll come into the studio really and give you all a little breakup on the protective order that was filed by Yulia on, I think it was the 20th of June. But just before I came on the program, there's actually some breaking news now that the appeal against the quashing of the subpoena has been filed today, the 1st of July. So that is breaking news. So I guess we won't really go into too much depth of what was filed before the protective order on the 20th of June. But I think it's very relevant for you guys to realize where we reach in Antigua and Barbuda so far with this abomination of a sale of a Russian-owned mega yacht, super yacht, and implications for Antigua and Barbuda in the future, how we're going to pay our bills, how we're going to survive as a nation state. Because at the end of the day, the way I see it, right, is that we're getting nothing out of it. We're getting no benefit as a people, as a nation. We saw just 2 months ago the failure of Antigua Sailing Week, the biggest sailing regatta that used to be in the Caribbean. For decades, for generations, they had about 50 boats at English Harbour and Falmouth Harbour. And I believe that was a direct reflection and a consequence of the way they just bullied and tacit and tacky nature of these politicians we have in Antigua to go and sell that woman's boat or that Russian oligarch's boat. But what I wanted to get into you today is that for those who are just signing up and coming into the live right now, is that there's a breaking news that Yulia Guryeva has filed her appeal against the quashing of the subpoena for application for the subpoena to get the bank accounts of Gaston Brown, his wife, his son, several other government officials, and banks and West Indies Oil and so on. So they have gone the route of the long route. Instead of just simply filing over the documents, making whatever changes, and filing a new application for a subpoena, they've gone the route of appealing the quashing of the application, which I think that came out on the 4th of June that it was quashed. But it's not even a month yet. What a difference a month makes. So the part that I really wanted to make Antigua be aware of, right, is that at the end of the day, Gaston has his millions. Yulia has her billions. We are caught in between these two individuals, or one individual and the nation state of Antigua and Barbuda, which they are tying our situation up with them. Since she has appealed the matter, what that really means for Antigua and Barbuda is that this will go to appeal now. We'll have to pay the lawyers. Not only we've already paid them, and the meter is running $136,000 just to defend the application for the subpoena. Now it is an appeal. An appeal matter, whether it's appealing an application or even if it's a substantive matter, appealing liability or guilt in a matter, it's more money. Substantially more money, because you're going to go before a higher court and you're going to be having to do more research to get what you want. He wanted to have it dismissed. Mr. Brown and his legal teams were going to push. That's more money. It doesn't get any cheaper. So just on that breaking news that we mentioned today, I don't think it's even been out. It was just filed today. I didn't even have a chance to look over the documents fully, but I sure by before the end of the week, I'll have the appeal documents, and I will get that out to you as soon as possible. But yes, she has appealed it, and the problem is that we are trapped in between these two individuals, Antigua and Barbuda, when I say we. And the problem that we're having here is that the money that is going to be paid from the Treasury of Antigua and Barbuda is going to be a substantive amounts of money. More so at this point in time than if she had just filed her subpoena, made some amendments to what she had filed previously and filed it over again. Now we're going to appeal. Now substantially more monies will be drawn from our treasury. What Yulia has really done was really to have a war of attrition with the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown. Have a war of financial attrition. She intends to weigh him down financially. And his only defense to that, because he thought he was rich. He thought he had 30 million EC dollars. But that is a drop in the bucket to what Yulia Guryeva and her family has. So therefore, when he saw this, the check or the retainer and the amount of money that his lawyers ask on an hourly basis, I think it was what 90 US, 900 US an hour, something along those lines. So it's now come up to 136,000 US dollars for what they did before, up to the 4th of June, and the meter has been ticking ever since. We did get what we came on tonight to really talk about was the protective order that was filed on the 20th of June. I think it's relevant for us to even go over that, because I was going to make it a prediction. My prediction that I was going to leave this podcast tonight was with that they were going to file the appeal by the 11th of July, because there's a deadline when all the documents that have already been handed over because of the subpoena. They had a clearinghouse that handed over documents. So they're saying this protective order was saying that one of the paragraphs, I think just towards the end, at paragraph 10, that if the documents, they did not file their notice of appeal by the 11th of July, the documents, all the documents that they had already filed based on the order of the subpoena where they won the first round, they would have to be destroyed. So I was going to make the prediction that by the 11th of July, we will have the appeal drafted and filed. But it's there. It's here already. It's, 10 days late? So, yeah, the situation with Mr. Brown and the way this matter is going to play out, and what I predict is going to happen is that at the end of the day, Yulia has invited him to a freak off. That's basically the best way to put it. You know, like the Diddy up trial now, she's invited Mr. Brown for a freak off. But he and Maria better carry the Astroglide and the baby oil, because you're going to get no better from here on out. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. I know what? Rough for them, but more so for the people of Antigua and Barbuda who have got to pay for this nonsense, which they had no part in. And what's going to happen here now is that since it's at the level of an appeal, an appellate court, the amount of monies that are going to be paid out, I believe that they're going to even be silenced and they're not going to tell us how much they're actually spending. Because I believe that the whole idea of Yulia was to cripple Mr. Brown financially for selling her boat. And his wife and his son and the rest of these individuals involved in this matter, they decided that they're going to pass the bill over to the people of Antigua and Barbuda. So they're not feeling it financially. But at some point in time, the Antigua and Barbuda people will realize that too much money has been spent and we have received nothing in return. And that is the sad part in all of this. That is the sad part. Where's the ethics of what is being done? Who is talking out about what was said up to 2014 and the ethics involved in the way the Gaston Brown and the New Labour are going to run the country? And how is it now that you get a private bill from your attorney and it becomes our bill? Where's the ethics? He also went on to say before the 2014 election that he was eager to empower the people of Antigua and Barbuda. And where's the empowerment here? You went and sold somebody boat. The woman sued you in a court for to reveal all the dealings with the selling of the boat, and you give us the bill. How do you empower people? I just want you all to remember what he said now leading up to the 2014 election when he took office.
Some people may misconstrue, my desire to serve as being power hungry. It has nothing to do with power hungry. In fact, as my constituents have said to me, I am empowerment hungry. Some people may misconstrue, my desire to serve as being power hungry. It has nothing to do with power hungry. In fact, as my constituents have said to me, I am empowerment hungry.
Yeah. So you hear that bit of nonsense there, how he is empowerment hungry. He wants to empower the people of Antigua and Barbuda. What is saying that you want people to be empowered? But then when you get a bill for the foolishness that you go and do, and you are warned and you're advised by many of us in opposition, do not go down that route, because fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Where did we have any say in it? You and your ministers in your cabinet and your stupidity as a leader, next level dunceness, decided that it was the best thing to go and sell this woman's boat. Now, how is that empowering us? How is that empowering us in any way, shape, or form? And we also remember that they had a code of ethics leading up to the 2014 election. He was championing the way that they're going to govern themselves and they're going to regulate themselves, and they're going to have Bishop Brown come and teach them courses in ethics. And my question for y'all tonight, y'all can comment on underneath the live. Let us know what's going on here, because I remember Bishop Brown, I think it was Pastor Brown at that point. Bishop Brown came on the what's the program they had? Insight. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3 nights a week. I think it was on ZDK, when they came in and informing the people what they're going to do and how they're going to run the country on a Christian, ethical, and moral basis. I'm not making this up, but tell me how ethical and moral it is. I believe it is actually criminal what they're doing. I believe there's theft involved. I could be proven wrong, but the fact that you are taking up money from the treasury to pay your bills, and that is not one time. That already happened. The 136,000 US is already gone. Dust. We lost all of that. That's gone. That is done thrown away on Gaston and his foolishness. What about what is coming next? An appeal by Yulia Guryeva to an appellate court on the same application for the subpoena. And if 136,000 US dollars is a lot of money, I am telling you, from my training as a lawyer, 20 years in the bar in Antigua and Barbuda, and called to the Bar of England and Wales, that is a drop in the bucket to what's coming. She has chosen to have a war of attrition, that if she can't get her boat back, then she's going to ruin these individuals financially. I believe that is one of the best things that anybody could ever done. This is up there doing it. When I came back home to Antigua 2000, everybody's like Uncle Stan and they love Stanford. Yulia Guryeva is doing us a favor, because any government that comes after this miserable, decrepit, corrupt Antigua Barbuda Labour Party, the first act they're supposed to do is to go down to the treasury and demand an accounting of all the monies that was spent to defend Gaston Brown, his family, and all these other individuals. Right? And you determine their share of this bill, and the government of Antigua and Barbuda will have them pay that bill. Every last cent, because it's not our concern. We never benefited from it. We were not empowered by it. We saw foolishness being played by black leaders who didn't know their place, and they had no idea what going up against a multi-billionaire was all about. The woman had more money than Alan Stanford. She had more money than Hadid, Hani, Shaul, or the supposedly rich people. That's on a different level of wealth. They look like a poor, broke stepchild in comparison. They look like they're on welfare in comparison to what Gaston Brown has foolishly gone up against. And that's what we're facing now in Antigua and Barbuda. There will be a financial reckoning in Antigua and Barbuda. But I'm telling you this. I can't talk about no UPP or DNA or Go Green. I am talking for Vere Cornwall Bird III and my organization, the True Labour Party, who is with me. But I'm looking left and right. If nobody's there, I am moving ahead. Because at the end of the day, any government that is formed after this disgusting, corrupt, discredited ABLP loses power, I will be campaigning, whether I'm a part of the government or usually as me alone outside of the government. I'll be campaigning that Mr. Brown and his family members who got us into this bullshit, that they will be paying their own legal fees. A bill will be sent to them from the government, what we paid out of the treasury and the consolidated funds, and tell them that is your bill. And if you don't pay us back our money, we'll be carrying it to court, we'll be winning a case against you, and we'll be putting charges on any properties you have. And if Yulia didn't get you, as she wants to do right now, is to a financial war of attrition against you, Mr. Brown. The state of Antigua needs to take it up. If she can't get to you because you're using our treasury, then that money in the treasury is our money that you're using. What they do when I am in court and you're at the high court and you have the sides coming down and you see the poor man and them come in, and what they do is somebody probably made them a power of attorney and they collected money for somebody's rent or whatsoever. And they use the money for other purposes than what it was supposed to be used for. It's fraud. It's called fraudulent conversion. It's to the level that you say that in fraudulent conversion that even if you replace the money, that's not good enough. It's the same every dollar, every penny, every cent that was given to you. You have to account for the exact one, not replace it with your own. And you see poor people going to court and poor people getting jailed and poor people begging judge for mercy because they use somebody's money. Probably hit the hard times. Probably had a school fee to pay. Probably had a medical bill to pay. I'm not saying all of them, but I've seen it before with some of them genuinely what are their wits' ends financially. And they just buckle the pressure and touch somebody else's money. They go to jail. What's good for the goose? It's good for the gander. More so for the leaders of this country who are in a position of trust and authority to look about our finances. They cannot say that that money that they took out last month or the month before to pay these personal legal fees were benefiting us in any way, shape, or form. It's benefiting them. Because a woman has taken an approach that Russia has taken. It's operating like the state of Russia. And you see there the way that they do battle. The Russian army is not a very skilled army. It is not very maneuverable on the battlefield and can operate combined arms very efficiently. What they have is that they have a desire to win at any cost. No matter how many men, women, and children die, and they would even shoot their own soldiers if they run away from the battlefield. And they have their own death squads behind them, and you run forward even if you don't even have a gun. And the man who gets shot, you pick up his gun and you use it until you die, and somebody else get a shortage of weapons. And if you run backwards, not one step back was an order from Stalin. Stalin gave an order, I call it Order 127 or 2, whatever it was, in World War II at the Battle of Stalingrad, not one step back. Anybody that moved backward, you see, you move forward and you go attack, and you say, wait, a gun nest up there, machine gun nest up there. Let me just step back here and just take a little breather and move back. No. Somebody in back of you shoot you dead. That is the same mentality that I'm seeing from Yulia. She's saying she will be able to absorb the financial burden of paying her lawyers a lot easier than Gaston Brown. She will be able to absorb the financial burden of paying her lawyers more than the state of Antigua and Barbuda. And that is what we are up against. She is willing to spend any amount of money to get justice, and whatever it takes. And that is the mentality that we've seen in Russia, more so from World War II. Now, they've been like that even during Napoleonic Wars, when Napoleon went to invade Russia with the Grand Army. He went in there with over 500,000 Frenchmen. And when he came out, it was like about 30 or 40,000 men. Because the Russians, when they came in and they were coming onto their borders and going into their country, you know the Russians did? They didn't retreat. Before they retreated, because they knew they couldn't beat him on the battlefield, the French cavalry and artillery was more tactically combined arms, were able to maneuver and defeat them. You know what they did? They burned on all their houses. They burned on all their wheat, all the grown provisions, all of the fruits on the tree, anything that the French could use to shelter or to clothe themselves or to eat or to drink. If they had a well, they'd throw a dead carcass of an animal in it to poison the well. And they probably defecate in the well, even though they're dying of thirst, because that's their mentality. What do you think, you little black boy, claim that you come from the Point and Villa and some parts Greyhound? What do you have with that mentality? Your little black ass don't even know what you're up against. My suggestion to you is to go and to read a couple Russian novels. Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, War and Peace by Leon Tolstoy. Was it Leon Tolstoy? Yeah, Tolstoy. I can't remember the first name if I got that right. And several other books that were written about World War II and the Battle of Stalingrad and Operation Bagration. And see what the mentality of these people before you even raise a hand to go and interfere with these people. They've put down the gauntlet and said, we're not backing off. And I heard even last month, the 4th of June, Mr. Brown was claiming that he was vindicated. Vindicated when there was no substantive case against him to find him liable or guilty of anything. There was just an application, a subpoena for him to give us the details of his bank accounts, or give Yulia the details of his bank accounts. I'm going to end this program in another 7 minutes, because I'm not going to harp on. It's only a one-on-one. It's only about, give or take, half an hour we do a one-on-one. But my biggest take is if Gaston Brown and Maria Brown and little Gaston the Third and all these other jackasses and Telemac and all these other fools say they don't have anything to hide, then why are they putting the Antigua and Barbuda people through this burden? Why are they allowing the people of Antigua and Barbuda to be paying hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in this foolhardy sailing of this boat? Why are they doing that? They say they have nothing to hide. You got through the 136,000 US dollars. And now she's coming back again. Not at the same level. She's just adding, compounding the amount of pressure she's going to put on the state of Antigua and Barbuda. This is no longer in your hands. But what I'm saying is that if you are in fact innocent, then what is the benefit to be spending our money to prove you're innocent when you could simply just give her the information and end the matter right there? It sounds to me that you have something to hide. It sounds to me that you did something wrong. Because people who love their country and nationalists do not put their country into this great debt that is coming upon us. That's just normal. You love your country so much, and you claim that you're so rich, and you have this big mansion being built up in Marble Hill, and you have your big your villa, your beach villa out there at Charlie Harbor, and God knows wherever else you're buying land and you're building houses and you're building all kind of stuff that you cannot carry when you're dead. Take all the revenues you're getting from all of this, go down to St. John's Corporate Credit Union or ACB, CIBC or Global Bank. We know you love Global Bank. And take out a $5 million loan and pay your own goddamn bills, Gaston Brown and family. Y'all are a bunch of dirty, stinking frauds, and you will be revealed for what you are in the coming months and years that I think that this case is going to drag out. Where I thought that if Yulia had just amended the application, it would kept the legal fees being paid by the state of Antigua on a similar level of hundreds of thousands of dollars. With the appeal, we're going into the realm of millions of dollars now. So yeah, I want to play a last skip, but as I got off before they really got me heated here. I want to play the last skip with Bishop Brown. This was I think he had already just rigged the they had the convention on the 25th of November, I think it was, down at Perry Bay. So he beat off he done bang off geriatric Lester Bird, and he was on his back foot now. So he brought Pastor Brown in and Bishop Brown, and they were on the program, and they're talking about ethics and what they're going to run this country. I'm going to play that to you now before I end this program. Listen to this.
I just got a text here, and this one seems to have emanated from overseas, a 971 number. It says here, moral and ethics in any institution starts from the top.
That's right.
As a leader, what are you going to do to ensure proper ethical modeling permeates the institution? Now, I know that you are a lecturer in ethics.
That's right.
And I have given the people of this country an undertaking that clearly there are certain new values that will be introduced to augment the existing ones that sustained us over the years.
That's right. We can't have too much ethics.
Correct.
Morality,
and
as
you know, we have introduced recently a code of ethics for the members of the party, especially those who would serve in the new ALP administration. But I'm thinking that in as much as they will sign this declaration, I'm making a public request here for you as someone who lectures in ethics, for you to engage our team and to offer some classes in ethics in order to strengthen the ethical foundations of our institution.
We do like to do that.
I have also made a point too that we expect all candidates, for sure, and certainly other senior members of the party to adhere to the provisions of our code of ethics, and that there be some form of self-regulation. All of us have our faults, but we have to understand that we have to adjust in accordance with the requirements of the electorate. And I give an undertaking here that as the leader of this institution, I will lead from the front. And whatever issues that individuals think or any weaknesses that they may see, I am willing to make the adjustments and to ensure that I am best able to serve this country and to preside over a moral and certainly ethical party, or a party with very strong moral and ethical underpinnings.
So a party with moral and ethic underpinnings. When the going gets rough, he's leading from the front. And he goes and chooses to start a battle with a multi-billionaire. That is the ethical underpinnings is that he pass the buck. You know, like you're in church and they tell you to put in your money. You're fighting the Gaston Brown subpoena. And you sit in the pew and Mr. Brown, before he put in your own money, he's supposed to put in the most. He passed it over to the people of Antigua and Barbuda. You hold on that. I'm on the front lines. I'm fighting a moral and ethical battle. That's the sort of jackass the people of Antigua and Barbuda have elected for a leader. We'll leave it on that note. Until we come again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. I'll be doing this whenever I won't say I'll be doing a Gold Mic 101 every week. But as soon as there's a breaking story that I feel relevant for you to be aware of, and without any spin, and you're giving me from my experience as someone that has doing government and politics from St. John University, has been a barrister at law for 25 years now. I will let you know what I think about what's happening in our beloved country, because it's been ruined right before our very eyes, and very few Antiguan and Barbudan people, well, Antiguans, Barbudans, and very few Antiguan people are willing to speak up for the love of their country. Take care and enjoy the rest of your night. And hopefully I'll be back soon with some more breaking news.